And now it's time for our afternoon play.
Vorwärts! Eine ordentlich Flyer aufstellen! Haben Sie! Eindringen! Nummer zu 2!
Exchanges in Bialystok by Vanessa Rosenthal.
Porząd o godzinie 12:30 do Wilna, treść Białystok, Suwałki, Porodna.
Come on, finish your coffee, Uncle Sol.
This is a dreadful place. You can tell it serves the East. Suddenly all that Warsaw elegance falls away.
Hold on, I'm trying to make out this plan of the station.
Beyond this point, they stop pretending and disguising. It reeks of despair.
I've got it. 10 is on the other side. We need to cross the line by the underpass.
You should never have come.
What?
You heard me.
What are you talking about? You can't come all this way and then start having doubts at the last minute.
To come as a young man, if at all. Not now.
Well, you couldn't have come before. There was a thing called Glasnost. Remember that?
A terrible thing happened here, and we weren't part of it. Now you've come to dwell on the fearful manner of those endings, and it's wrong. Obscene.
No. I've come to honour the family. It's the only thing that will get me through this awful year.
The living are the ones that count. There's no point in looking back.
I'm not arguing with you now. Just pick up the shoulder bag. I'll get the rest.
Bossing, always the boss.
Excuse me. Oh, hold on a moment. Oh, I thought I was going to be late. But you must be Professor Goldber and Deborah Goldber?
What?
I spotted the English newspapers first. Oh, sorry.
Can we help you?
I was trying to spot you. Mr. Poganowski.
Poganovsky.
Poganovsky said we'd all be catching the same train. I've not introduced myself, have I? Lorna Harris.
How do you do?
Such a relief to find you. All of a sudden, you realise you've not a word of Polish.
Just a minute. I don't understand. Did you say Mr. Poganovsky?
Yes, the guide. The man who'll be showing us the sights for the next 2 days. We're all booked in at the Golbieski Hotel.
I think there's been some mistake.
No, I don't think so. He came highly recommended. From the internet, I think my friend said.
This is outrageous. We hired him exclusively and not for your average tourist type trip.
Deborah, please.
Well, it's true.
Oh, dear. I hope I haven't got it wrong. I wouldn't want to be in any trouble.
Not at all. My niece is a little overwrought. She's recently been under a lot of strain.
I see.
Why on earth did you need to tell her that?
To explain your rudeness. There's no excuse for it.
Oh, that's us. Off we go, then. This is very exciting. Shall I lead the way?
Do.
I hope my case is all right out in the corridor, only it was a retirement present from my work.
A nice present. What work was that, then?
I worked in library services in the local history section.
Interesting.
Give me strength. Look, what is the purpose of your visit?
Deborah, you're being very direct. You must forgive her. She should have been a lawyer like her great-uncle.
Sorry, I was only wondering what the attraction is for the ordinary tourist. Bialystok is not a pretty town. It was rebuilt by the Soviets after the war in hideous concrete.
Yes, I believe so.
It's different for us. My family were born there. It's where their roots lie.
My father, your great-grandfather, left in 1922.
So? Same difference. He didn't spring from nowhere, did he? There were generations before him, weren't there?
Deborah,
We need to reclaim their history, otherwise Nazism won, and the records of the vanquished will only show...
Ease up on the polemic, Deborah. You're not in a tutorial now.
I was only explaining to her how important it is for us.
I think you did.
Yes, well, my family had connections with the town before the war.
Oh?
For a time they worked there. My father was an agent for a British initiative.
Ah, was this anything to do with textiles?
No.
Did you know that before the war, 60% of the textile workers in Bialystok were Jewish?
My family weren't in textiles, no, although their work brought them into contact with many of the textile workers and their families before all that business.
All that business? All that business, as you call it, was the annihilation of an entire civilization, of a culture and a people that had existed here for hundreds of years. Excuse me, I need some fresh air.
Oh dear, that was my fault.
Not at all. This is a difficult time for her. She planned this trip with her father, my nephew. Unfortunately, he died suddenly last February.
I see. And yet she came just the same.
Well, if anything, poor child, it's assumed even more significance. She saw little enough of him. The parents had been divorced 10 years.
Tommy, come on. All I need is 2 days. You lend me your car for 2 days and I'll give you a 30% cut of what I'm getting.
How much are they paying you, Darius?
$100 per day. $200 for the couple. The woman pays the same as them.
Why?
She wants to know more. More costs money.
You are a bad man. And I may need the car myself on Thursday.
Well, we can worry about that on Thursday. The important thing is that we agree the principle.
The principle is that I give you my car for you to get rich.
It's called capitalism, Tommy. To be a survivor, you have to understand it. Yes, good. This is their train. Give me the keys. Come on. Shake hands on it and make yourself scarce. Go on, fast! Darius Boganovsky at your service. Welcome to Bialystok, Professor Goldberg.
How do you do?
Miss Goldberg.
Hello.
And Miss Harris.
Hello.
I think we are a good party. We have brains and beauty. Yes, very good. I shall escort you now to the Goldievsky Hotel, where I shall see you to your resting. Tomorrow we will commence our itineraries. This way to my car, please.
A ridiculous jacket he's wearing.
How much are you paying him?
The same as you, I would imagine. I have his email somewhere.
This station was built by the Russians in 1860 and nowadays is under preservation order. Many, many Jewish immigrants en route to England or America begin their journeys here. Professor Goldberg, this is where your father would have started his journey in the 1920s. And Miss Harris, this is familiar to you too, huh? But I am thinking you are knowing nothing of this early time, perhaps, yes? We look at one more thing before our car. Follow me, please.
Whistle, here a minute. Did you just hear that? Ask her what he meant.
I shall do no such thing. It's not our business.
There's something funny going on. And what's that tatty book she keeps consulting all the time? I'm going to find out.
No, I forbid you. You are intruding into private matters.
Oh, I like that. She's the intruder, not me.
And here, Miss Harris, is our cinema that I emailed you about. What are they showing? Ah, Quizmaster. Very good, yeah. Yes, that is very good. It is about puzzles, I think. Big, big puzzles, huh?
Excuse me.
Deborah.
What?
Miss Deborah?
Why is this cinema so important?
Not as a cinema, as what it was before the war. And you know, this is some kind of miracle, I think. From September 1939, for 3 weeks, the Germans bombed the city every night. The station is hit, all around here is hit. But not this building. This building remains.
Good gracious. So near.
You said before. What was it before then?
Before it was the Barbican mission to the Jews, very big, with its church and its medical center, its printing house, and its hostel for young men.
I think I'll take a photograph.
Doing what, exactly?
Spreading the gospel to the Jewish people.
What?
With money sent from London.
Oh, they were English.
Some were English, some were Poles.
How repellent. Why wasn't it stopped?
Deborah, let's at least wait until we get there properly.
I only asked.
And now, here we have one white Mitsubishi as promised. Tommy, what are you doing?
You take care of it now.
Sure, if you and your uncle take the back seat, and Miss Harris? Miss Harris?
So it was here.
We possess at present a large mission hall in the very center of the town. and it is indeed one of the most prominent buildings there, where all the businessmen congregate, and in the neighborhood of several synagogues. But any who come to us are being threatened with loss of work. Great meetings are being held in Jewish halls and cinemas against us. People who have anything to do with us are boycotted.
Miss Harris, I think our guide is waiting for us.
Sorry. It was somewhere else.
No worries. We are all having good time commencing now.
Good afternoon, Hotel Colbies.
We'll let the ladies go up first, and the lift, she will come down again quickly.
Of course.
So, since 4 years ago in 1992, many lawyers come to our city. At the time, the Polish government have passed reparation laws in respect of property that fell to the Soviets after 1945.
But I'm not here on business. And anyway, international law is not my field. Was a professor of criminal. And yet, as I understand it, these laws relate only to communal or religious property that changed hands, not to individual, private claims.
You have no connections to Miss Harris, then?
Miss Harris?
Her people will not pursue their claim. Too many headaches. Too many bad Soviet buildings falling down. If you had wanted, I know Polish lawyers who could work with you to your, how do you say it, mutual advantage. Public property, private property, these are only words to be got around.
You're talking to the wrong person.
No? You're not interested?
No. Quite definitely, no.
I see. Pity. Here is your lift.
Thank you. I can manage by myself.
As you wish.
Deborah, what are you doing sitting out in the corridor?
Waiting for you. Did you ask him? She's some Christian nut to do with that monastery, isn't she?
I've no idea. And if she is, isn't it live and let live? Here, in particular.
She can't understand it all like we do.
We don't. No one ever can. The sheer banality of that evil is beyond human comprehension.
You're always so correct. I wish my father was here. He'd have known what to say. Wouldn't he?
This is hard for you. I'm sorry.
Why won't you ever talk about him?
I've never been very good at this sort of thing.
Oh, forget it. Don't bother. I'm going down to get a drink. Several drinks, as a matter of fact.
Deborah, be careful.
What?
The man Pogonovsky. He's a crook.
Really?
For this student demonstrating, I am prisoner for 12 months in 1980, and it is the best thing that can happen to me, because in prison there is a library full of all the things you cannot find elsewhere in Poland.
Why?
Why? Why, because the authorities pretend. Yes, they say we do publish history books, but they are in no libraries, no bookshops, only in prison libraries where nobody reads them.
What sort of history?
The history the Polish people pretend did not happen. In prison I read and become authority on all things Judaical. No one else in Poland has my knowledge. Next week, Americans, Canadians, it is good business. For these people, I am perhaps the only means of accessing their ancestors.
I think that's exploitative.
And I think you are a very pretty English lady.
Oh, spare me the chat-up line, will you? It won't work.
Wait and see.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
He did say outside, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Did you sleep well?
No. Not very. Did you?
Badly.
I don't think I was prepared for how little of the old town is left.
You've some picture in your head it ought to match?
Not really. I don't have anything to go on. You know why I'm here, don't you?
Only conjecture, combined with my own perceptions. Do you want to talk about it?
No. I can't.
Well, if you do feel you can, I'm worth trying. Nothing ever shocks or surprises me. Not in my trade.
And you think it is shocking?
Me? I only observe. I think you think it's shocking in some way.
Many terrible things happened here. But there were also some good people who tried to do their best according to their own lights.
Are you talking from some particular knowledge?
No. Oh, nothing like that. Ah, here comes your niece.
Good morning, Uncle Sol.
Oh, good morning, Deborah. Sleep well?
Fine. And Mr. Pogonovsky, too. Exactly on time.
Look at her ridiculous mug. It's like she's on a Wrinklies holiday or something. What's she after?
At what age, I wonder, does one ever start asking the right questions?
This is the beginning of the story. Here we are in Braniki Palace Gardens, nowadays is medical school of the university. In 1663, Count Braniki issued a decree permitting all the residents of Bialystok, including the 100 Jews, yes, only 100, the rights to recreations here in these grounds alongside the river Biala. A very pretty spot, you'll agree. Perhaps, Professor Goldberg, your father may have played here when he was small boy.
We are all the dead on holiday.
What? Who said that?
Kaplan.
A member of the resistance in the ghetto, whose memoirs survive.
I asked my uncle, actually.
So sorry. Excuse me. I think I'll take another photograph.
Wait, Miss Harris, it will be better over here.
Was that necessary?
I dislike having my history quoted at me by her. He's bad enough. Anyway, it's all coming out of that wretched book she's so inseparable from. Probably the scriptures.
You can't keep this up.
Yes, I can. She's an intruder and she's no business here.
That's childish.
So, you all knew about the ghetto uprising. Not many people realize it was as fierce as the Warsaw Ghetto uprising.
And that it lasted 6 days.
Does your Bible say so? I'm surprised it's interested in such things.
Deborah!
I do wish you'd tell me how I've offended you. This must be such a sad time for you.
What? Who told you about that?
I only meant...
It's got nothing to do with other people.
Ladies, no quarreling. If you have your photographs, we go forwards now towards Zamenhof Street.
Actually, I think I'll take one more.
You want another? Come, I show you.
You will behave properly.
What have I said? And she shouldn't speak about my father.
Why not, if it was in sympathy?
How can she know what it feels like to lose a parent before you're 21? It's not a sad time for me. It's unbearable.
I do know that, and how you're struggling. But you can't take your grief out on her. You have to be brave.
I am being as much as I can, but her sort always get it wrong.
That won't do, Deborah.
We leave here now. Keep up at the back, Professor Goldberg. As we go, notice the land on the left-hand side across the bridge. Before the war, it was the site of the famous Ritz Hotel, owned by the Jewish company Rabinovitz and Milakovsky. They ran the London Ritz, too. Oh, very elegant, very famous. Everyone came here. It had a large ballroom with many chandeliers. Halten Sie! If I go too fast, Professor Goldberg, you shout me, yes? He's 73, you know. I saw it on his passport.
Mr. Pogonovsky, I'm glad to have a moment like this. I wanted to ask if we will be able to visit the town's archives whilst I'm here, to get me that information we talked of.
I believe we have a problem here.
Oh, dear.
This information is not yet in the public knowledge. It is like your census records, yes? I have a friend, but he does this for me as a big favor and at risk to his own job, so we have to make it worth his while, huh?
I see. How much?
$400.
What? I can't possibly pay that much. I only have my pension now, and the bonus I used on this trip.
Yes.
I'd understood there was no problem about these records.
Do you have Visa cards?
No. No, nothing like that. I was always brought up to pay as you go. The most I could find would be $100, but not on me.
This is a great pity, but I tell you what, let me see what I can do. It has to be today, though. The archives, they are shut tomorrow.
I would appreciate it.
So, gather round. Yes, here we are at the center of the old Jewish quarter on Zamenhof Street, in what used to be the Jewish market, Reinek Shienene.
My father, he used to mention this place.
What?
Nothing. It doesn't matter.
By 1940, this market was serving a general Jewish population of 250,000. As many nearly as there are Jews in your country altogether, I think. This was a lane called Yatka Gas, where all the Jewish meat sellers had their shops. It would have been a very busy area, if you can imagine it.
Professor Goldberg, are you all right?
Things I never let myself examine before.
Do you need to sit down?
No, I need to see it all. All of it.
Notice the one remaining wooden house over there. Some of these wooden houses were very elaborate with many rooms. If there were 3 steps up in front, it meant a shop. If not, a private home like this one would have been.
This is where my father grew up, went to school, walked, talked, met his friends, practiced his faith. And I haven't taken it on board before. This is what he knew best, and yet he never spoke of it.
I expect it was too difficult. If he left in 1922, those friends would have been here.
Yes, quite so.
He knows that. End up against the Russian border, waiting and hoping it would never happen.
There was nothing extraordinary during the first fortnight in August, but in the second half of the month, the atmosphere became agitated, as though the temperature was about to change. From September the 1st, 1939, the war was upon us. From morning till evening, aeroplanes circled over our head. In October, the Bolsheviks came and held the town for the Nazis under the Nazi-Soviet pact. Our work was still continued in its normal way. Later, however, rumors spread.
Where could they go?
The Jewish people, you mean?
Well, everyone, really.
But it wasn't the same for other people.
Gently, gently.
No one rounded them up into ghettos, did they?
No, well, of course not.
So I'm right.
Coffee stop! We pause 15 minutes now for coffee. A nice place.
Where's he gone?
Chatting up the waitress inside.
There are no Jews left in Poland now. Those that survived at all have emigrated.
Actually, that's not true, Uncle Sol. There's a revival of Jewish life in Krakow.
No matter. The numbers are insignificant. We are not welcome here.
Except as tourists.
You feel that too?
Quite strongly. As long as you spend money.
We're all museum pieces. Do you realize most Polish children have never even met a Jew?
That's what my father said. He said we had to re-educate the young with funds available in a joint European educational enterprise.
He said, but he never did.
How can you say that? That's just not true.
I'm sorry. It was inappropriate of me.
No, I'd like to know.
I meant nothing. Oh, you're not old enough to have made this trip, and I'm too old, that's all. We don't need to do this now.
You criticize my father in front of strangers.
Deborah, this is not easy for me to, eh? We all had fathers, and here in this place we are all orphaned children in pain.
In front of her. And she's just here on some glorified church outing, complete with her family Bible.
That's not quite true.
No? Well, come on, then. Let's have a look at it, then.
No, please. You mustn't. It's very fragile.
What? It's handwritten. Pages of it.
Deborah, give it back.
Certainly. I'm not that interested in amateur travel notes. Here. Keep it. I'm going inside.
I am really sorry. Half the time she doesn't know what she's saying. No real damage done, I think.
Thank you. I can see how unhappy she is.
All of us are that here.
You too?
Yes. I wasn't prepared for it. I thought I was inured by the depth of my knowledge on the subject. Instead, I'm overwhelmed. I had a bad experience last night in my room in Golbieski. I couldn't get my breath. There are 2 twin wash basins in there, side by side, with 2 twin mirrors above. 2 twin bedsteads. Ornate 19th century Rococo affairs, unchanged in 80 years, I expect, like the rest of that hotel. The best in town.
The only proper one. In 1939, I think.
Exactly my point. It would have been requisitioned during the war for officers. So I lay there all night thinking obsessively of the 2 SS who would have been billeted in my room, resting their brill-creamed heads against the wall, awaiting the next day's orders for the liquidation of the ghetto.
Oh, that makes it seem so modern.
It was modern. Within my own lifetime as a 15-year-old schoolboy in England.
And mine?
The time of the motor car, the refrigerator, the electric light, the vacuum cleaner, the cinema. All my life I've been plagued by the conundrum of the modernity of it all.
And the aeroplane.
Most importantly, the aeroplane and the Allied bombs that never came in deliverance. I've never spoken of it to anyone. Never. I always felt ashamed that I had no right to a personal sense of grief because I was never there. But there is now here. And it's happening to me now in this ordinary town where my people were ripped into oblivion.
Not just to you.
One Saturday, about 2 hours before our service, 3 of these people with red armbands appeared and wanted to take over the church, making the excuse that they needed a billet for their soldiers. I stood in the entrance and said they would only take it over my dead body. But it became clear I was in imminent danger. Obviously, a religious building was of no sacred significance to a Bolshevik.
Is there anything I can do to help?
No. Well, yes, actually. I need to find a money exchange in rather a hurry.
Well, let's see. There's a Cantor's over there, by the electrical shop. Shall I come with you?
Oh, thank you. Yes. Thank you so much.
They were here a minute ago. Where have they gone?
To the Cantors, I think.
What's funny? I don't think any of it's funny. In fact, I'm surprised you can go on doing this tour year in, year out, week after week.
There are compensations.
Like?
Meeting pretty girls? Correction. Meeting one very pretty girl. You like authentic Polish food? I can take you. Tonight we can paint the town red, yes?
No, thank you.
Oh, come on, you will like it. I can change your mind.
I think not.
I don't understand. Why do they need to see my passport?
Just procedure. There's nothing personal about it. Go back with it tomorrow.
Tomorrow will be far too late.
Finally, I preached my last sermon. I commended all to God's keeping and walked out of my home, my work, and my neighborhood, just as I stood up, unable to take anything with me. The compound has finally been requisitioned by the Bolsheviks as a fever hospital against the typhoid epidemic that now sweeps the country. And congestion and starvation are the order of the day.
Is there a problem, Miss Harris?
No. No.
Good. We walk on now to the site of the old ghetto, then. Oh, follow me, please.
I can't stand that man.
How could he do this to me? I know some of the facts from the mission, but not the rest. He wrote and told me he'd found out things. But now he's saying he needs more money to get the release to me.
He said that?
What's she talking about?
I've never done this in my life before, but do you think that I could borrow some money?
How much is he asking for?
A lot.
The man's a nebbish, without an ounce of principle.
You're not going to help her.
I suspect you predicated your whole trip on his information, eh?
I can't afford to come again. I know that. I'll just have to find the money.
I think not. There are other ways.
Why are you doing this? I don't get it. She's just some Jesus freak in sandals who probably stood by and did nothing when all the shit was happening.
That's not true.
Deborah, how dare you?
Well, tell me this. What's wrong with our own religion? It survived 5,000 years without her lot. Someone should have stopped her. Or removed her altogether.
God in heaven, can you not hear what you're saying here in this stained land? You should have stayed at home if your heart's so contaminated with hate.
Oh, thanks a lot, Uncle. Pity I couldn't do that. I promised my father.
He was a great one for promises, as long as other people made them.
How can you say that?
Because it's the truth, and yet we all have to pretend that this pilgrimage would have brought you two together. He was my nephew. I saw him too, and what I saw was a man too busy chasing failed enterprises and other women to ever give his children what they needed most. Contact and continuity.
He loved me.
After he'd loved himself first.
What do you know? What do you know?
Oh, dear. I really don't think this will help her right now.
On the contrary, she needed to hear it said out loud. Grief needs a country and a locality to weep in. And there's none more painful for a Jew than this one. Let's go.
We have now arrived at the site of the former ghetto and the painful history of the Holocaust era. World War II saw not only the total extermination of this community, but of a vast infrastructure that included a Jewish high school, a Jewish gymnasium, a Jewish trade school, 100 Jewish synagogues, 3 Jewish cemeteries, a Jewish fire service, a Jewish ambulance service, Jewish hospitals, libraries, theaters, newspapers, businesses, and many, many others. 200,000 from the ghetto or surrounding regions were murdered at Treblinka, and the great synagogue was set alight after 800 men, women, and children had been pistol-whipped inside of it, and its doors barricaded against escape. So this is a difficult morning for you, I think. I shall wait on the corner for you to collect yourselves, and after we are going to a very good vegetarian restaurant.
What?
By the way, if you have dollars you wish to change, come to me, and I will make you very good rate. Are you hearing me? I shall be waiting for you over there. Excuse me. Hello? Tommy. Yes? What do you mean you want it back now? We agreed 2 days. We are in the middle of our itineraries. No, I can't. All right, I'll see now, but for 1 hour only, and then I get to keep it.
How very interesting.
What do you mean? This whole place is an obscenity. It's like walking in one massive graveyard.
That emotion isn't exclusively yours.
Yes? Then whose? Certainly not hers. She's lost nobody. I don't even know what she's here for.
Tell her.
I'm not sure this is the right moment.
Tell her.
All right. I'm here to find out about my parents. Their exact fate. What happened to them after I was evacuated in the spring of 1939?
I've no idea what you're talking about.
You never will unless you listen.
They worked in the mission. My father is assistant minister from 1922, just after the war. And then my mother came out with me in 1936 when I was a tiny baby.
I'll save it for someone else. I'm not interested in Christian do-gooders doling out English Bibles.
Not English Bibles. Yiddish ones, actually.
Oh, I see. Going native to ingratiate yourselves with the locals.
They didn't have to. It was their language.
What?
My parents were Jewish. Or Hebrew Christians, as they would have preferred to be called, sincerely believing God had already sent his Jewish Messiah to live and die among them.
There aren't people like that.
Yes, there are. They met through the church one summer, when Father was home on leave from Poland. He was already ordained by then, but Mother was different. Her family were fairly orthodox, I think. They came from Breslau, originally.
You're making this up.
No. This is his journal. It was smuggled out to me in 1941, before the Nazi takeover. It's my most treasured possession. and the last I know of them.
I don't understand.
No, you're too blinkered by your own prejudices to do that.
Sorry about that. A change of plans. I have an unavoidable errand, but you will take a walk by the river. I shall drive you there now. What are you doing? Those are my car keys.
But not your car, I gather.
My friend, you mean? Just now?
Yes, your friend. And if he wants his car keys back, you'll need to do something for us. You put it in writing that you would furnish Miss Harris with certain information.
Professor Goldberg, you are joking me. I don't understand.
So that if you don't fulfill your contract, you'll be in breach of it, and speaking as a lawyer...
All right. I take you to the place now. All right.
This is an awful place. Does no one care for it at all?
There's no one left to care.
A lot of these gravestones look to have been deliberately desecrated.
A common form of humiliation throughout Poland. The Nazis made the Jews break them up for road building.
Hideous. It's all hideous.
It has not been easy to find, you understand. If you were baptized as these people were, their deaths, they are not automatically recorded by the Jewish agencies. But you were lucky. He died naturally at the beginning. There it is.
Samuel Harris, born Hackney, London, England, 1896, died of typhoid, Bialystok, December 13th, 1939.
It means so much to have a place, to see a headstone.
But I don't understand what it's doing here. This is a Jewish cemetery.
Of course, this man was a Jew. A collection was made for his burial within the Jewish community, and you have to understand these peoples then had very, very little money.
Knowing they died naturally at the beginning of the war has been such a comfort to me.
This is the letter I emailed you about, Miss Harris. It was found in the cinema building with other papers only recently.
Ah, yes, the one that cost $400 to locate.
Go on, please.
The fate of the Jews is pitiable, and we have abandoned all the mission's work to do what we can to help.
What drugs were in the dispensary we have brought with us and given out freely. There is widespread disease everywhere. The early severe winter is an added scourge to the many afflictions suffered by the Jews. A distribution of warm clothing is underway, but there is not enough for the need, and we must do more, much more, if we are to make any real difference.
I think he is a good man.
Oh, this is more than I could have ever dreamed of. Thank you. Thank you. Such a long way from home, and everything he knew. His country, his language, his family.
But not his people, eh? How ironic. Two strangers in strange lands, two Jews who meet on a station platform and perhaps exchange the time of day in 1922. One Polish, travelling west towards survival, my father. The other, this one, arriving here in the east at his destruction.
But they weren't the same.
Of course they were. Just ordinary men. All ordinary men and women. The wandering Jews of Europe with their different degrees of secularization, in whose number I'm privileged, yes, privileged to include myself.
And my mother? Where's her grave?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure that you want to hear this.
No, go on, you must, you have to.
Go on, Mr. Pogonovsky, as you undertook, please.
I am very sorry. You will know how I wrote you that she must have caught the typhoid too.
I already knew that.
No. I thought I had a lead on this, but in fact I found out more. I wasn't going to tell you.
Shame on you.
But I've come all this way to honor them. You have to tell me.
No, not like you think. I am not all bad man. To save you.
Save me? From what?
I am truly sorry. There is fresh information on Elizabeth Harris from the archives.
Yes? You have to. You must.
Get on with it.
Very well. On November 30, 1942, she was arrested outside the mission, where she went each day to give out medicines and advice to sick babies. And just like any other Jewess, she was ordered into the ghetto. Her Christianity meant nothing to the Nazis. On December 10, she was sent on a transport to Treblinka, where she perished in the gas chambers.
Mama. Mama. Why wasn't I there to comfort you? Oh, Mama.
That's all it says.
Thank you, Mr. Pogonovsky.
Go back.
Wait, Deborah, where are you going?
Everywhere. Away. I'm so unfit to be here. I'm so ashamed of myself.
Then stay and do the difficult thing. Be a mensch and learn your lesson.
But you want me to... I don't know how. Miss Harris, I'm sorry. I am truly so sorry for the things I said.
Oh.
I need you to know, Deborah, that common humanity has no divisions. It reaches out beyond the personal, even grief and anger, even a father who failed you and loved you after his own fashion and does good. Those are the lessons of Eastern Europe.
Why couldn't they have died together?
There are no answers. If there were, we'd have no cause to stand in this spot and weep collectively for the unthinkable.
Do you remember them?
Just. I was 3. I remember Father taking me to the station. And Mama waving. Then the big plane. And being frightened of sleeping in a room with other children for the first time. I was brought up in one of the mission homes in Kent. A happy childhood, really. Do you think they know we're here?
Who?
All the dead and the unmourned together.
I'd like to think so. I'd really like to think so. And that they pray with us for a better world of tolerance between all peoples.
Amen to that. Amen.
Yeskadalve yeskadash merava dialma divra hirosai viamlich malkusai bachekhan uvyamekhan uchai de holbes Israel vayagalau visman kharif vayimru amen.
April 1939. Permission has been granted for a single plane to leave Berlin this Saturday, with some Hebrew Christian children from our Czech mission and possibly others, and we have decided to get Lorna out on this for the time being, providing there is adult escort for the little ones. God willing, we shall all be reunited again soon.
Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya v'chaim aleinu v'al chol Yisrael v'imru amen. Ose shalom b'mromav v'ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al chol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Exchanges in Bialystok was written by Vanessa Rosenthal. Sol was played by David Horovich, Deborah, Alison Pettit, Lorna, Catherine Barker, Darius, David Schneider, and Reverend Harris, Andrew Wincott. The play was directed by David Ian Neville.